salvation, righteous the whole man. Raw splitting the sea into that good side. Go far into vision, lifting up that soul right. High low, high low, high low, high low. Elevate my love, generate my touch. Everything I see coming to me, I'm knowing. Proofs that I bear from the sowing. I just put in work to the morning, to the three bird that we heard. Stepping through the light, that's a rebirth. Giving thanks to life and the ether. I can never fall when I'm free word. Free bird, free word, free bird, free word, free bird. I'm Elo, I'm Elo, I'm Elo, I'm Elo. Sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the Elo. Universal flow, I belong here. Sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the Elo. Universal flow, I belong here. High low, high low, high low, high low, high low.
I fucking love
Thanks
you.
to the fire. High low, high low, high low.
Good night, beautiful people. Good night. How are you guys doing tonight? Welcome. I'm gonna change the vibe a little bit. Hey, Rain, how are you doing, my darling?
As a good night, I'm walking in life. I'm walking with life.
That's the best thing we
Finding
could
the
do.
gratitude for just being alive.
That is the best thing that we could do. That's the only thing we can do is walk in light. I love it. I'm trying to blue connect my my Bluetooth to the laptop. You guys remember last week I told you guys that I had an issue with the laptop. I had to do a power wash to the laptop, which worked. It was effective. It just took a long while for it to update and come back to life, but we are up and running. And I'm happy about that because last week we were not able to stream to Instagram. And I'm going to do a double check, but I believe today we are streaming on Instagram. So I'm going to do a double check before
Hi,
we
Instagram.
Yes, I'm going to verify really fast with Instagram that we are. Oh, I had to click go live. Now we're with Instagram. I'm glad I came back to check. Okay. We look like we're good to go. Making sure. I want to make sure everybody can hear us clear. It looks like on Instagram we are clear on Instagram. No sticking. Looks like you all okay. Let me check the comments. Please, somebody in the comment section, let us know if you are hearing us clear. Let us know if you could see us clear. We just want to make sure that we're moving in clarity and all that good stuff before we dive in tonight. And Nick, Rain, I think I have a surprise. I think my the universe aligned with us that my guests may be able to come on tonight. I'm not going to say who it is until I know for sure that she can. But I got a text saying that her session with her client ended at their time 8 p.m., which is now our 10 p.m. So I think we might be in luck tonight.
Maybe universe
Yes.
alignment.
Okay. Hey, Bria. Hi, darling. Can you hear? You can hear. She said she could hear us clearly and see us clearly.
Hi,
So
hi.
I believe the washing of the laptop worked. Thank God. Let me. You know, technology is interesting. And we just gotta love it. But I'm so glad that I did this update. I cannot. I give praises to the Most High God that I was able to figure this out. And even like literally an hour, I got out of the shower, reset, and right before something was like, Google a master reset again and see if it's going to move faster this time. And baby, I did just that, and so said, so done. I was so happy because I thought I was
Blessing.
going to have to use my phone again. And even if I did, I was going to be prepared to. Let me check in with my darling when you're ready.
I hope everyone is feeling good. I hope everyone is feeling well as we continue this conversation about mental wellness and the healing and everything that is encompassing with it. I just want to, reiterate a message that, you know, Rob posted on Facebook this week. Check in with your people, check in with your tribe, check in with yourself, have that conversation with self about how you're feeling and how you're doing and where you are mentally, and be honest with ourselves and love ourselves and be gentle with ourselves. And before we dive into this conversation, that's just a message that my spirit wanted to bring. Like, be gentle with yourself. Life is hard.
Life is
Even if
hard.
you had the best of life, we live in troubling times. Inflation is high, groceries is high, rent is high, everything is high,
Shit, even
so
personal expectations are high.
audacity be at an all-time high, like everything is just high. So, give yourself grace. Give yourself a little hug, pat yourself on the back because you woke up today and you made it through another day. And, God is always with us. And remember that He's always listening. And, as we go into this conversation about healing today and the journey and the process that it is, remember that God is always here for you. And I'm not one that likes to be all preachy, but you always have someone, even if you feel like you have no one, because you have God, and He's always
Mm-hmm.
there for you.
I should. I should to that. That's facts. And while you guys, as we're warming up, I'm gonna ask you to say a word of prayer too. But in the midst of it, please share the live. I'm doing the tagging and all that good stuff now. But share the live. We want to spread a positive message to as many people as possible. And we want to just give some light, to the importance of mental health and the importance of checking in with yourself, the importance of, you know, creating space and time for yourself, and also being kind and gentle with yourself and creating and making space for others in the capacity that you can. Okay. And so, with that being said, I want to give honor and reverence to the ancestors. I want to give honor and reverence to the divine light, the spirit of love, the spirit of truth, the spirit of creation, the spirit that gives us the will, power to overcome any adversity that is set before us, the divine creator. I give reverence to our highest selves, our Ori, our highest selves, our consciousness, our higher consciousness that are always guiding us and pushing us to be the best version of ourselves. I ask that in this time and in this very hour that the universe, that the stars, that the planet, that the moon, everything aligns as we're entering a full moon, that everything aligns in this very time and hour with us, that we're able to connect, and that this live presents a breakthrough, that people have internal, spiritual, mental breakthrough, that in the wisdom and the love and the light that is shared tonight, that chains are broken, that people are free, that people are going to be able to walk into their freedom, that people are going to be able to gain tips and insights to heal themselves. Spirit divine, God, you made us. You know all things. You know everything about us. Ancestors, we are the seeds of your blood. And you know everything about us, but we call upon you in this time, in this hour, to be present with us. We ask that you will help us to walk into the light, to know what the light is, to find the light. For those of us that are in dark spaces and dark times and dark hours, help us to come out of the valley. Help us to rise out of the valley. Help us to transmute our thoughts, our responses, and our energy, to know that in the adversities and the tough times, if we allow the wisdom of the Most High and the wisdom of those that have come before us to teach us, we will overcome. We ask that you will provide strength to myself and provide strength to Rain, that we are able to pour out, but also receive from the Spirit at the same time. Spirit, let our words be your words. Let our experiences and our testimonies bring light and help our brothers and our sisters. Let the viewers, wherever they are, send your healing power, send your comforting power, be a comfort to them. Send your power of peace, send your power of light, send your power of love in this time, in this hour. Someone is lonely. Someone is needing healing of the mind. Someone is needing healing of the body. Someone needs to rise from the pits. And in this time and in this hour, I have faith and belief that God, you are able. I have faith and belief that ancestors, you are able and you will indeed do it. So in this time and in this very hour, be present with us. In this divine space, be present with us. In a space without walls, let us unify as one. Let the commenters share light in their experiences to also pour into the community. We thank you for the collective. We thank you for the desire to want to be better. We thank you for the ability and the space created to allow us to be better. Ashe Beni Kori, Ashe Beni Kori, Ashe Beni Kori. We thank you. We thank you. So tonight, in lieu again of October being not mental health awareness, let me be specific, because mental health awareness has a specific month as well, but this is Depression Awareness Month. And so while we are in that space in this time, and a lot of us, have been experiencing some form of a wind of depression, whether it's for a moment, whether it's been for a little while, so on and so forth, it has been happening. And so in that, Rain and I was like, okay, we have to come together to be practical and real with experiences that we've gone through and techniques that are either have helped us or constantly helping us as we are going on this healing journey. No, we are not experts. No, we are not professionals. However, wonderful, connected. We have experienced some things that I believe and also have gained some wisdom and still gaining wisdom that will enable us, to give some form of light to you guys. Because, testimonies are real. Experience does count in addition to professional help. And so if not this evening, sometime in this week or next, I will have a guest on that is a certified PhD, fully booted and suited therapist, and also someone that is also a Orisha devotee and spiritualist. And so I'm looking forward to that, be it tonight or later in the week or next week. But while we are here, I wanted to, Rain had a post that actually triggered and inspired this too. Rain, do you want to read that post? You have access to it. Let me see if I have it in my phone. I don't know
Hold on, I'm gonna get it right now. It's in our conversation.
Mm-hmm. It was a very moving post that I was like, you know what, that is, and I said it outright. I said that is a podcast topic. Like it's so simple, but yet so powerful and so true. that I felt it was discussion worthy and also would yield a lot of light. And so, as she's preparing it, I believe that.
I don't think I have it.
Okay, hold up. Let me see. Anyhow, it was talking about being an adult and going through this healing journey and the different parts of self. That's what really spoke to me the most. The different parts of self. And again, before I go deeper, I want to make sure, can you guys hear us okay? Can you guys see us okay? Are we glitching? Are we sticking? Are we doing any of that? Please let me know, because this is going to get good. I believe it down in my spirit. This is going to get good, and I just want to make sure that we're able to flow properly. I'm going to do a double check on my phone.
So, as he's checking the connection, I want to, continue talking about depression awareness because we are in October, which is Depression Awareness Month. And I also find it very interesting how, I don't know if they did that on purpose or what, October also represents the change in the seasons. And for many of us that live in like northern states or, places where it begins to get a little darker a lot earlier, the temperature begins to severely drop. So all these social activities that you may have been a part of, or, just being able to be outside and enjoying the little bit of nature that you may have in like a limited city is now more restricted. Unless you're like somebody that likes the cold, but I don't like the cold, so I don't be trying to be outside like that. But we start to experience the what they call seasonal depression. And I feel like it's such an important conversation to have that, for me, besides wanting to be a help to someone else, it's also very cathartic for me because, I don't care. Full disclosure, I've struggled with depression for many, many years. And, it's a conversation that I feel like needs to be brought to the light. And, even just with me saying that, I felt a bit of removal of the shame that comes with, stating that you may be struggling or you may suffer with something because of the negative connotations, that may be associated with it. So even with my intellectualization and my understanding that, there's nothing innately wrong with having a mental, you know, health that might be on decline or it might be different from others, I still felt that stigma. I still felt that apprehension. So these types of conversations, within internal self is very helpful. So I hope to help someone else and, be truthful, help myself because sometimes we need to have these internal conversation externally so we can gauge where we're at because it's quite easy to get caught up in the process of healing and constantly saying like, well, I need to fix this or I need to do this or I need to be here to feel like I'm this way, instead of just being accepting of where you are at and listening to what your body is telling you that you need at the moment. So I felt like I think the post basically stated, healing your inner child, healing your teenage child, healing your
Hmm.
adult self, and the balance that is needed within it all. Because at each stage of development, what you needed at the time was completely different. So when you're on this healing journey, I like to say, to myself, and it's a constant conversation where I'm at, right now with this healing journey, is reminding myself that healing isn't linear. It doesn't have this end goal because I feel like a lot of us are always constantly changing, chasing the end goal of healing. It's a process that's always going to be, at least in my understanding, ongoing because your triggers may evolve, your sense of understanding may come more in depth. So I wanted to have this conversation about trusting the process, because too many times we get caught up in the process that we lose focus of what was the initial purpose that we started this whole healing journey in the first place was for. Good
Ashe.
night.
Good night. Good night. So, everybody, I want to introduce our special guest, Dr. K. This is my sister, my friend, my accountability partner. We go way back. She was in the very beginning of my stages as growing as a practitioner back in Chicago. And in those spaces, even seeing me grow and go through different shifts in my life, she's been present in those stages. And so she is actually a PhD, Dr. K, and she specializes in mental health. And so I want to take a minute and allow her to speak about her journey, what she specializes in, because she can speak on that better than I can. And then two, just to fill you in, Dr. K, we're talking about, just talking about the journey of healing and the different parts of self that sometimes we, especially as adults, that we realize in order to kind of go through the evolution and growth, we have to heal like the inner child, the parts of our teenage selves that, these different experiences and how it can affect us, but also as spiritual people, certain things that we could do carnally and spiritually to help ourselves. So good night, Dr. K, and I thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we hear you good, loud and clear.
Okay, cool. First of all, I apologize for being in the car. I just left from a karaoke event with my coworkers, stopped in there, had some libations real quick, and now I am here with you all. So good evening. Awesome. My name is Dr. Tawana Williams. I prefer Dr. K because it's just easier for everybody in the room to remember that. I am a mental health counselor. I am a master Reiki practitioner and teacher, and I'm also a holistic health counselor and a spiritual life coach. And when it comes to psychosocial and emotional health, when it comes to spiritual health, when it comes to all of the mind, body, spirit alignment and things of that nature, I truly do believe the best way for a person to heal is to be in a space where they're allowed to do so. Well, Dr. K, what do you mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. A lot of people tend to romanticize healing in a way that is comfortable for the person comforting the comforted, instead of making space for the person who needs comfort to feel whatever they're feeling. So, for instance, y'all ever had a situation where you are really angry about something, and Ryan, you and I have had these conversations, been in these spaces, and you held spaces for me in these instances, and you're really angry about something, or you're really grieving something or someone, or you're really annoyed by something, whatever that thing is you're feeling, and it's always a goddamn positive Patty trying to tell you, oh, it'll be okay tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Oh, just think positive thoughts. Don't worry about, it's happening for you right now. It's not happening to you. No, goddamn it, it's happening to me, and I'm mad. Mm-hmm. And I'm mad. Mm-hmm. And I need you to stop trying to make me feel better right now and allow me the space to be angry, the space to feel sorrow, the space to feel grief, the space to feel petty, the space to feel jealous, whatever that emotion is that I need to heal from, heal in, process, or even recognize or acknowledge. And man, let me have that. Stop trying to make me feel better. Please stop trying to make me feel better. Because if it were that easy, I wouldn't be having to process none of this stuff at all. And I think as humans, we make the very detrimental mistake of trying to make people feel better instead of just letting them have whatever feelings they have. Let them move through that, let them process that, and then work on helping them feel better. I get it. Feeling like shit don't feel good. I also get that sometimes you just have to feel like shit and let that person have that instead of trying to rush along the process because you're uncomfortable with their healing, with their process, with their stuff, with their triggers, with their trauma. And as a clinician, it makes me so angry when I hear people saying that, you know, I feel this, I feel that, but everybody's telling me that it's going to be okay, that it's all going to work out. I think I know that. Duh. I'm not talking about later. I'm talking about right now, in this moment, in this space. I'm mad. Sometimes we just got to let our people be mad, G. We just do.
That's real. That's real. And I don't think a lot of people approach healing in that matter. And I like that approach because I've learned, especially like you said, we've been in those spaces. I've always been keen on creating spaces for us to have that, you know, those moments to group therapy. And so the pivotal point of that is when you allow a person to express themselves in whatever state they are in, sometimes the outward expression, energetic release is definitely key to the healing. Because in the release, you one are hearing yourself think, one you're letting the suppression go, so it's not locking up in your body physically, and then you also can, you know, clear the air. And then once you can, I let that out. Now we can let me get to a place where I can start to place things. Go ahead, Nick.
I have,
Go
I
ahead,
have a
Rain.
question for you, doctor. What if you've been so conditioned to intellectualize the emotion rather than feel the emotion? It's not even like an external source telling you you should feel positive about this, or these positive affirmations that we constantly hear from different sources now has become your internal voice. How do you get out of that state to now say, well, I'm going to allow myself to be mad, I'm going to allow myself to be sad? Because I feel like there's so much prettification about how healing is supposed to look that, for some of us, it's like when it doesn't look like that, you feel like you're not on the healing journey.
Well, you know what? The operative word that you use in all of that is allow. Follow me. When people intellectualize things instead of feeling it, that is a choice. And that choice could be stemmed in trauma, traumatic experiences, dissociation, things like that. And that's normal under certain circumstances. But the reality is, when people are thinking so much about a thing that they can't tap into their feelings, they are choosing to tap into the intellect, because intellect makes sense. Feelings don't. Especially and specifically if you've never been in a space, or you've never been offered a safe space to express or fully feel, fully acknowledge, fully process your feelings. I actually have a client right now, and I have to emphasize with this baby all the time. I did not think, feel. How does it feel? And the moment her eyes start moving, I say, stop thinking, feel. And the way she struggles with that, the way she struggles with just acknowledging the feeling. But if I ask her something to think about, baby, she gonna rattle them answers off quick. The easiest way, and I wouldn't say easy, but for lack of a better word, the easiest way to unintellectualize your healing process is to allow yourself to feel. Because if you're thinking too much, you're using this energy instead of this energy, that is a choice you are making. At what point are you going to make another choice? Because clearly the choice you're making right now to intellectualize anything, it's not working. It's keeping you safe, but is it working? And how safe is it keeping you if you are restricting yourself to simply your thoughts and not your actual feelings?
Oh, yes.
So I want to say, like, especially like in West Indian cultures, that means, just like centralizing, but, only speaking from my experience, the notion of feelings being equivalent or just as important as the intelligence of just things in general. has been a major blockage for many people. You know, it's hard to even verbalize that you're feeling a feeling if you're taught from a very young age that feelings are not important, you know. And I think that's why so many of us struggle in silence with how we're supposed to even begin to start the healing journey, because there's so many limits and conditions to the way that we're taught we're supposed to operate and how we're supposed to be, and like the pre-laid plan of how things are supposed to look and go. You know, it's very hard to like shift out of that shell. So what would be some of your advice? You know, because it's easy to say allow yourself to feel the feelings, but if you've never done it before, how do you begin that process?
Well, to be fair, personally speaking, I feel like there's no such thing as somebody never feeling something. Follow me here. When people grow up with abusive parents, you know how that feels. You know it doesn't feel good for your parents to verbally abuse you, to call you stupid, to say you aren't worth shit, you goofy muff, that's why you look like the ugly ass. You know how it feels, and you know you don't want to feel that way. You know it don't make you feel good. You know whatever feelings it does in invoking you are negative. Ain't nothing positive attached to being called stupid, dumb, worthless, or whatever negative work. People know what they feel.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they do like. They know what they don't. They know what they can tolerate mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They know what they cannot tolerate. And if you know what you can and cannot tolerate, if you know what does not make you feel good, I don't care what your mama and them said you can't do. Your mama and them told you ain't supposed to have sex. Who on here be fucking?
Because it feel good.
Hallelujah.
Hello.
And the reality is, when it comes to things like, you know, cultural, ethnic, regional aspects of how people are raised, I absolutely understand the collectivist versus individualist mentality. I absolutely understand the concept of, you know, suck it up. The concept of, you know, dry up them tears. You got shit to do.
Or sweep it under the rug. Keep pushing. All right. That.
However, I also absolutely understand how a lot of us did not like how that made us feel growing up, because that disregarded what actual feelings we had, which were that doesn't feel good to hear. When you slapped me across the face just for washing the dishes wrong, that didn't feel good. When you called me stupid for making a B instead of an A, I would never do my child like that. See, that's a feeling. Everybody on this earth, whether you have been trained into it or trained out of it, has a feeling. And if you know it don't feel good to hear, it don't feel good to see, it don't feel good to experience, then you are feeling something.
And it goes back to allowing yourself to express that again. And you started with the space. Whether that space is with a therapist or that space is with a trusted friend. And even if that friend is not the one you hang out with all the time and talk to every day. Because Kawana and I, although she was in my space, it wasn't an everyday what you're doing. But it was definitely a few times out the week. And it was definitely more than 20 times out the month. But it wasn't an every day. You know, but when those times were together, they were impactful moments, whether it was for an hour, because we had 30-minute hour pull-ups, to 4 and 5 hours we together in a day. But they were impactful moments, both for her when she was in spaces and both for me when I was in spaces, and we pushed each other. And so with that being said, being able to say, yo, homeboy, homegirl, this happened. I don't like it. This is how it made me feel. And then as you start to unpack that, it's like water in a faucet. The more you turn the knob, all you have to do is start it. But the more you choose to open up, it's going to flow like water. Because you have to, again, approach it in a mindset that I'm not talking to mama and I'm not talking to papa that's going to disregard my feelings.
That's
because if I'm not
another
talking to
thing.
mama and I can't go to the people that I know are going to disregard my feelings. That may be the spiritual leader. That may be your spiritual godparent. That may be your mother, your father, your grandparent. It may even be some of your friends that don't have room and space for you. Doesn't mean they don't love you. They just don't have the room or space to take that in or pour into. And that's
Now,
okay
that's
too. But we got
another
to
thing.
discern that. Talk
As
about it.
as an adult, I'm gonna say it for the third time for the Trinity. As an adult,
Mm-hmm.
if whoever caused your trauma ain't paying a bill, ain't feeding you, ain't contributing to your life other than being the ghost in the shell around your conscience, nothing that they taught you as a child should be so prevalent in your adulthood that you won't be willing to shift out of that if you didn't like it back then.
True.
I have to tell I tell a lot of my clients all the time. They'll tell me, well, this is what my mama told me, this is what my father taught me, this is what my grandma, my auntie, da 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 da, and now in my relationship. And you know what I do? I say, show me a picture of your partner. Oh, okay, they handsome, they cute, she pretty, all right, but not the bad, whatever. Now show me a picture of your daddy. They don't look shit alike, which means they're not the same people, which means you shouldn't be operating with them in the same capacity. This person ain't your mama. And you're an adult now.
Go ahead, Rain. Go ahead, Rain.
I think that comes back to the point of the post when they were talking about healing that inner child. Because I feel like even though a lot of us are adults, we get stuck in a particular stage of development, whether that be emotionally, physically, well, not physically, but, spiritually. We get stuck in these places and these age stages where our needs or our psychosocial, needs weren't met. So we might have some people who are physically adults, but mentally they're still a 10-year-old child who was not given the ability to speak or to be heard or, to voice how they felt. So
Or still
how
trying
do
to
they,
people please or seek somebody's approval. You
so how,
understand?
so what would be your advice to get them from that stage emotionally, to a place where they feel more empowered?
I'm gonna speak
Choice.
before you speak, Dr. K. Okay, we're on the same page. Damn, damn, we're on the same page. Because this is what I was gonna say. When we to go deeper in the choice, at least going back to my personal experience, because I never had a clinician, and I grew up in a household where my mother was financially present, but was not emotionally available for me. You understand? And so I thank God that I had outside a stepmother and certain people that were emotionally available for me, but it still hits different when it's not your parent, your parental energy. And so that had me in a space of depression. And what had me to grow out of that goes back to choice. It gets to a place, especially as a conscious person, as a spirit, and this is me in high school. I came out in my sophomore year of high school, and my life shifted with the dynamic between me and my mother. We were living in the same house and did not speak. You understand? And that went on for some time, even as and then becoming a practitioner and serving the people when Kawana was present in my life took on a different level. You understand? And so it got to a place where you get tired, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of trying to please or trying to lower yourself or seek somebody's gratification other than your own. It was like a reality check. And and it wasn't someone on the outside force telling me. It was literally me looking at my life, looking at the dynamic of people that I had around me that either I had on the pedestal or I had elevated in my life that were not pouring into me a certain level, and realizing, let me invest my time and energy in me, number one. So that means let me create my space. For me, that was going to the lakefront, that was going for walks, that was spending time with my friends, that was spending time longer in the shop. You understand? Even if we've been closed for 2 hours, let me sit here and spend time with my spirits and be in that space. You understand? And then realizing it was like God spoke to me, my higher self spoke to me like, I made you. And the reality is, You don't need anybody's approval but mine and yours. And so when that clicked in my mind, I realized, number one, I got to stop sacrificing myself, putting myself on the line to make somebody else feel better. That's a choice. I have to stop giving so much of myself to people and spaces that don't pour into me. That's a choice. You understand? Even if you are in that 10-year-old state of needing and wanting that parental love, needing and wanting that friendship, you have to walk with a level of knowingness and faith that it will come and that it will show up when it's supposed to show up. But in the meantime, making sure that I'm pouring back into me, and let me understand why my mother wasn't available for me. I had to go there and forgive her too. I realized that even when I was going through things, why she was locking herself in certain, not being active and present, because she was dealing with her own stuff and depression. She couldn't pour into me. So then you have to have the practical element, the reality of it. I can't expect someone to pour into me what they don't have to give me. You understand? And a lot of times we grew up, a lot of us have had parents that were not emotionally available or equipped to give us certain things because they didn't know how. That was a part of my healing process. Go ahead.
Now, from a clinical perspective, to give you a more direct response to your question, young lady, here's what I know to be fact when it comes to people who may be or who choose to be trapped with that 10-year-old, that 14-year-old, that 18-year-old, that kid that's not the actual fully realized adult. What I know to be true is a lot of people choose not to heal that because staying in that space gets them something that they need. Might not give them everything, but it's something enough that they need enough that not growing. Even though they know this traumatized me at this age, this bothers me and it brings me back to this space. Because here's the thing about people, and as a therapist, I tell people all the time, I don't allow I don't know in my office. I don't, because there's no such thing. Whether you're dissociating, whether you're forgetting by choice, whether you may have traumatic brain injury, or whether you just don't want to go there because emotionally you can't handle it. There is always a reason why somebody's doing what they're doing, even if it means why they're accessing that 10-year-old child instead of accessing that 29-year-old adult that they are now. There's something about that child and the behavior of being that immature in whatever way that presents itself that gets them the attention that they didn't get, that they were lacking, that they needed at that age. And here's the amazing part about that. A lot more people know that than you would realize.
Yep.
A lot more people on this earth recognize and know that I am operating from my 14-year-old self because I was raped when I was 14. A lot of people operate from that 16-year-old self because they were rejected for whatever 15,000 reasons they were rejected at 15. A lot of people know that they're operating from that 21-year-old self that had an abortion and they didn't want to, but they had to for whatever. People know. People always know.
It's a matter of processing.
They have an idea. So in order for them to even want to heal that 10-year-old, that 14-year-old, that 18-year-old, hell, even that adult, that 25-year-old that experienced something, they have to want that. They have to choose that. It's simple. And as much as people say, well, it's not that simple, actually, sometimes it is. Either you want to stay stuck in this energy that's not helping you and you know it's not benefiting you, or you don't.
Because
either you want to figure out why, right? Either you want to figure out why that 10-year-old still gets triggered, or you don't. And in some people's defense, I understand why they don't, because, baby, listen, I got complex PTSD. Some memories I don't want to touch. But the reality is some memories I have to touch in order to get them on up out of me. Because how are they helping me sitting in there? How is it helping me staying 22 years old, still mad that I had cancer? And at 41, yeah, I still am, but I recognize why. I wanted to not be angry anymore. I was fucking tired of being mad, of being tired. Some people legitimately just have to make an active choice. What's going on that every time I'm around men, a 13-year-old is triggered? What's going on that every time I'm around women, a 5-year-old is triggered? What's going on that every time I'm in an academic setting, my 15-year-old is triggered? Like, why am I feeling this?
It's a fact. You're talking right. Oh, you're talking right. And that was really, along with all my drag, that's what I was getting down to. I had to realize, why was I in that space, and analyze it from multiple viewpoints, not from a linear, oh, this happened to me. But I had to understand why it happened. I had to understand the state of mind the person that did whatever was in. You understand why they are the way they are to the best of my consciousness. You understand, in a capacity that it affects me, at least. You understand? And then say, okay, this is a choice to either realize, for example, my relationship with my mother made me a very defensive person. And so I had realized that in my friendship dynamics, I talk about this all the time because it's a clean example, that I realized in my communications, when my friends would speak to me about certain things or come with a certain tone and energy, the tone and energy, I was shifting to a defensive response or position. And I had to, one, realize, okay, this is not healthy for me to preserve and keep friendships and people that I love. And I'm also being misunderstood because of the position that I'm subconsciously going into. So let me figure out where did this come from. I realized it came from my communication and not being seen and heard from my mother, and how that made me feel like I had to constantly speak up or prove or validate something, when reality is I don't have to do those things. And then shifted to listen, stayed where I am and be calm with that and move forward. And that was something I had to work on. So now I'm less defensive. If it slips out every now and again, I'm conscious aware of that and I check myself. But for the most part, I believe I've grown from that state. But I used to have that really bad, really, really bad, really bad. And so that was a part of my healing journey, because again, I did not want, and what triggered that was, I didn't want people that I love, or students or clients or friends or whatever, or associates, colleagues, to see me other than how I want to be seen. If I'm being told that I'm defensive or they can't communicate a certain way, and I know that's not the heart that I have, that's not the mindset that I have, and that's not the energy that I want to be between us, I had to work on me so that something else is seen. Not changing myself for them, but changing myself for me. Does that make sense?
Does to me. Like, even with me, I had to get to a space where I needed to understand why I needed to understand why a person like me, who loves love and is obsessed with the concept of it, has just given up on it for my own personal benefit. The reality is I had two really, really crappy ex-partners, and a lot of the patterns that I saw in them resembled a lot of the patterns that I see in a lot of men. Now, let me be clear. I'm a healer. I'm going to attract trash. Healers always attract the unhealed, and they're more likely to attract the unhealed and the broken and the broke and the ashy, or whatever you want to call a negative experience in a man or a woman. The healers are going to attract that. My problem is I'd rather heal them than to just filter them out of my life, because it ain't my job to heal them. My name is Kawana, not God. And at some point I had to acknowledge, not that there's a broken part in me that wants to be healed enough to heal them, but I needed to acknowledge that I struggle with certain patterns of men because I want to fix them. I want them to be a certain way. I want them to want me the way they want other women, when the reality is these niggas don't want me, and I just need to be okay with that. And I also need to acknowledge the fact that because I am in such a broken place romantically, dating is not the best thing for me right now. I don't need to look at a man. And trust me, I be looking.
Baby.
Colorado gets real lonely. It really does. And the reality is I would break a black man. I would break a good black man if he came across my path right now, because I'm too broken. That's just the reality. Do I like being in this broken place? Hell no. But in order for me to move past it, I have to acknowledge this is where I am. And I also have to acknowledge and take accountability for why I attracted trash-ass men. I entertained these trash-ass men. And the consequences of that is I think all men are trash. And I know in reality that's not the truth. But
that's
in
the
taking
space you are in right now.
Exactly. But in taking accountability for that 21-year-old who never felt good enough, that 18-year-old that didn't feel good enough, that 13-year-old that didn't feel good enough, I have to be accountable for the fact that I just allowed a lot of bullshit that I should not have allowed. And until I get unbroken from that bullshit I allow, I don't need to touch nobody's son, baby. I would ruin them.
And that's a reality. That's a reality. That is
And
a
here's
real
the gotcha.
reality.
It is a sucky reality, and people need to be okay with acknowledging sucky realities. I'm not okay with being in this space. I'm not, but it's the space that I'm in, and I had to acknowledge that. Because if I'm ever to move beyond this energy, how am I going to move beyond it if I don't even know what energy I'm sitting in?
Yep. If I ain't even understood it yet. And I damn sure ain't letting somebody in my stratosphere, in my aura, that if I can understand me, how they gonna understand me? If I can love and respect me, how they gonna love and respect me? But the reality is, yes, as healers and as practitioners, we will have mates that in certain areas of their life, they're gonna need a little, mended. But the beautiful thing, at least I've learned at this state in my journey, whereas my mate or companion that enters my life may be struggling in a certain area that I have to pour and fix them, but baby, best to believe they are coming in a level where they can also level me up. And it may not be the emotional or the pouring the same way, but it is an equal exchange. It's different when you have that person that is so in a certain space that you can't handle it and it's bringing you back down. That's not going to work. It's different if we can meet at a space and we're going to grow and build together. That I've overcome certain lessons and points in my life that I know, okay, now I'm equipped that I can pour into you. And I'm not just pouring into you, but you're also taking it and grasping it and growing in that, actively involved in the growth that you can work with as a healer, dating.
Young lady, did I give you what I need, what you needed? Because we could dig a little more if you want to dig. I'm ready.
No, I was processing. So if you hear me stay quiet, I'm a person that like to process what I hear before I respond. And what was really coming to me was, in all these scenarios, there's a requirement of self-awareness. Because as you said, you have to be able to acknowledge where you're at that moment. But what if you struggle with self-awareness? Or you don't have the emotional intelligence to know, well, hey, I'm a broken person and I shouldn't be doing X, Y, Z. Or you may not even be aware that you're broken because you lack that internal self-awareness. What would be your recommendation to, even if you have general self-awareness, how can you improve it? What can be the actual steps or practical things that you can do to start having these internal dialogues with yourself? And what if you're not, like say you're deep in depression, how do you begin to have these reflective conversations and not go into a place of further beating yourself up?
What just dropped in my spirit was listen to self. Follow me on this, because I hear you when you say some people are really just in a space where they ain't even aware that they're depressed, or they're not even aware how their depression or depressive symptoms are affecting people, right? Again, for me, it circles back to people know. They sometimes they just know. For me, example, dealt with this guy, self-disclosure, he was married, didn't have no business dealing with him, but I was, and bills was getting paid, and so. Anyway, I made the choice to end that situation. I was stuck in depression for 3 days. 3. Didn't eat. When I did sleep, I smoked myself to sleep, woke up, cried, smoked again, maybe had some drink, went back to sleep, and I did that for 3 days straight. On day 4, I heard very loudly and very clearly, bitch, if you don't get up and get something to eat. In conjunction with the fact that my stomach growled loud enough for everybody in the room to hear it, it wasn't nobody in there but me and God. Spirit will always let you know.
I don't know if it's a Piscean thing, but
Whether you're aware, whether you're conscious, I don't care what your modality is in belief, practicality, spirit always knows when something is wrong, when something is off, when you didn't necessarily do it the way you know you should have did it down in your soul. If ever a time you've done something, said something, went somewhere, and somewhere in your gut, it's like, that means you know. And that also means you know better.
Yes, I was going to build. I want to build on that.
So I want to interject. When I was talking about like self-awareness, I'm talking about, you see how you said you acknowledge what state you were at, not particular to like a situation, but like just having that emotional intelligence to say, I should be self-reflecting. Because some of us come out of one situation and hop right into the next situation. We don't take, and I'm not just talking like relationship wise. You might go from one
right.
to the next bad job. Like, how do we grow that sense of like, let me take a minute? How do we begin to have these like reflective conversations? Because I know a lot of people who literally don't even think about self-reflection.
Well, for me, it still ultimately goes back to choice. Follow me on this, right? So I had a client sitting in front of me yesterday telling me about issues within the relationship that they had. One thing they did reveal to me was they have not been single for more than 2 months since they were like 14 and 15. They ain't but 20, 21 now. They told me or disclosed to me what their particular diagnosis was. And when I told them what things are associated with their diagnosis, in this case, the struggle with being alone, that baby started crying. Ask me why he started crying.
Because he realized it.
Not realized, because he's known all along. I struggle with being alone, and if I'm alone, I've got to deal with my feelings, and I can't handle it.
Facts. And I was going to say that something in you, you may not always have the words to verbalize it, but something in you, God places, this is what I'm going to say, especially because we always say being spiritual or not spiritual. I would say even the lame man on the street, you understand, there's something that God innately placed in us. Even a baby know when they're in danger. A dog know when they're in danger. You understand? It is something that is innately placed in us. You cannot run from it. You can either
not always intellect. Intellect is what keeps you from feeling that thing that you need to feel, or acknowledging that feeling that you know something ain't quite right about this, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway because it's all I know. The reality is people intrinsically know. They know when they're doing wrong, but they do wrong because that's all they know how to do. They don't necessarily always know when they're doing right because they need the validation to feel like they're doing something right. The reality is a lot of people, you are right, young lady, just don't have the emotional bandwidth. But we talking about if you lined up 10 people on the wall, I can guarantee you it's only 2 people who are just that unaware. Them other 8, they know. Spirit never lies.
I agree with you. It's something in you that know. That's the tired of being sick and tired. Like if it's that gut feeling, if that head feeling, the voice, the something. And then for those of you that are spiritual, whether you in the church or in the mosque or reading your cards or getting the reading done, some gonna come to you and say you ain't right. The word conviction, some gonna say, yo, okay, I got to get something together here. You understand? Something is off and I need to get it together. And that moment it hits you, you have to let that little leaf on the tree and start to search the entire branch now and get to the root of the situation. It starts somewhere. It starts in you.
And again, it's not to say that intellect doesn't come into play. It does. I feel like humans are like, when I say humans in the entity that we are ourselves, walking flesh and blood, right? We are some amazing people. And we are so resilient that we will go through some stuff and find the most creative, unhealthy but creative ways to deal, to block, to intellectualize our way out of, gaslight our way out of stuff that we know, we feel, our spirit and told us is fucked up, bad, off, don't feel good, ain't never felt good, ain't never gonna feel good. And in order not to feel that anymore, we either think ourselves into something else or we just stop feeling at all. The reality is spirit don't stop doing shit. Spirit will always be spirit. That's why I sat in the bed for 3 days, depressed. And then on day 4, spirit said, get your ass up and eat. And I heard it loud and clear. Because that wasn't me. That wasn't my intellect. That wasn't even my feeling. That was my what I like to call my shundo.
Or your Shango. I love it. Hello.
Just telling you. And it's not, again, it's not that intellectualism can't come into play. Sometimes we have to use our intellect with our feelings, because sometimes, a lot of the times, our feelings ain't fact. That's the fact. But the reality is sometimes our feelings are so much fact that shit hurts. And even you don't want to deal with the hurt.
Even when you say people that don't know, even when you know people tell you like, oh, you're so busy, or you say, okay, I'm doing, and you say, oh yeah, I know, I need to do this, I need to slow down. It's go back to choice. Make a moment to be still, and then sometime the universe find a way to make you be still. They will make you be still. They will find some way. If you don't take the choice to be still, they will find some way to be still. But in the being still now, it's a choice.
How about the universe that you tear your motherfucking world up until you ain't got nothing else to do but look in that mirror and face yourself? And you can't hide behind intellect. You can't hide behind people's validation. You can't hide behind trying to hide. Sometimes people be so busy intellectualizing stuff that they will literally break and lose their mind until they have to start feeling. That's why when people do start feeling certain things, their floodgates open and they can't stop. A lot of people, that's why they don't want to feel anything, and they intellectualize it. They're trying to stop the floodgates of feelings, because them shits get big and they get heavy and they are overwhelming. And everybody's bike ain't big like mine. You understand? Everybody can't hold that weight. And if my bike done broke from holding weight, and I do this for a living, I can only imagine a regular person without my gifts, without my talents, without my training, trying to process any of this stuff. But the reality is, a lot of people want to, but like you said, they can't. They don't know how to access that because they're too busy thinking about it, or they're thinking about it because they know if they feel it, it's a wrap.
I want to talk about masking.
Okay.
Because
okay.
It's easier for a lot of us to not deal, and I'm talking personally, with the ugliness that's usually associated with emotions and feelings. And I'm a person that I feel like I feel big feelings, but I know I don't feel like a good 98% of my feelings.
Right, okay.
I've been programmed, and accustomed myself to like masking. Somebody will be like, "Are you okay?" And I'd say, "I'm okay." And I know that's not what I really want to say.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you a personal question now. How do you begin to unpack the mask when you have this ideology that everything is supposed to present a certain way?
Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, is this for real? Is like, are you feeling what you feeling? Like, I remember talking to a couple of my clients last week, and I told them about this method of processing your feelings called the walk up, walk back. I remember I used to be in my bag about a lot of shit. A lot. I mean, I'm a Pisces. I'm a water baby all through and through. So everything makes me cry. I'm sensitive about everything. If you say I like that outfit, but I like the pants better than the skirt, I'm gonna think you say my whole outfit is ugly. That's what I do. So I would be sitting in my car, and I'd be crying. Oh my God, I can't. I don't know. I don't. And something in my spirit, but like, bitch, why you crying? And I would be like, wait, what? Did you heard me? It's you talk. Why are you crying? Because if what was said to you, I mean, if what was said to you is a lie or is incorrect, why you shouldn't be feeling your bag, right? Okay, so what did they say? Did they say something wrong? No. Then why are you crying? And again, this isn't me trying to intellectualize it for real, voluntarily. I am literally voluntarily sitting in my car crying like a little bitch. But I had to walk myself down from my feelings if they were hurt for no reason, especially if somebody told me the truth. It's been plenty of times where I done told my ass up. And I had to get off the phone and be like, man, it's my... And then I would hit the blunt 2-3 times, and I would ask myself, but why are you mad? Sometimes you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, is that how you really feel? And not think about it. Not. Well. If your eyes shift somewhere, that means you thinking. We not off that. We not sin.
You better come today. You talking right. It's so true.
Sometimes you have to look in the mirror and just ask yourself, is this what we really doing today? Because if it is, okay, cool, no problem. Have that. But if it's not, let's talk about why. If it's not what we're doing today, let's talk about why we're not doing. If it is what we're doing today and you're going to stand on it, let's talk about why. But what we're not going to do is try to, no. Is this what we're doing today? Our internal person will get us together better than any 2-year-old toddler, I'm telling you right now. That internal thing that a lot of people don't like to listen to because it tells you what you should do and not what your flesh wants to do. Listen, that thing is loud. And unfortunately, from a clinical perspective, what I call shundo, when the spirit is called intuition, and the real world is called your conscious, that thing will never be quiet. It is always on. It is always on speaker. The mic is always on with your conscious. Always. If it makes you sick to your stomach, that means you ain't got no business doing it. If your heart starts fluttering, that means you ain't got no business doing it. If it gives you a headache, that spirit telling you go sit down, you thinking too much, don't do it, and it don't need no more energy. Spirit will always tell you. And the best way for you to figure out how to tap into certain stuff is to just sometimes look in the mirror and say, so this is what we doing today? Because if it is, stand on it. If it's not, why are we even worried about it? Why are we stressed about it? Why are we even having this conversation with ourselves? Because if you were sure about it, you wouldn't be asking yourself, is this what we doing today?
Oh, yes.
Again, right. Ultimately, boils down to choice. How deep do you want to get into this? How much do you want to tap that thing? How much do you want to heal that thing in order to get past it? And do you realize and recognize, newsflash, it's gonna fucking hurt. It's gonna hurt. I tell my clients all the time, this is what should be happening. This is how healing is supposed to go. And I always ask them, did you hear me say it was going to be easy? Because I never do. I do this for a living, and I'm in therapy every 2 weeks, ugly crying. Because there have just been moments where I've had to look in the mirror and be like, gee, is this what you're doing? Really?
Oh, yeah. You're talking right. Hey, you talking right. Everything you said, spot on. I'm like, I don't know if it's a Python thing because I know my higher self be cussing me out too. I get
Baby,
cussed. Listen.
wearing me thin. Do you hear me? Wearing, I
Yeah.
mean, I'll be in the bed having a panic attack. And it's like, bitch, if you don't go to sleep, if you don't get up and
Right
hit
now.
the button and go to bed, because you already know what to do, but you bullshitting. But I talk to myself like trash because, like you said, young lady, you only know how to do what you know how to do. And I was raised in a house full of men who, by the way, I just found out are them West Indians who been from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And my daddy is Southern Baptist. So it's very much fuck your feelings. It's very much, yeah, deal with your feelings tomorrow, but right now watch the motherfucking dishes. It's very much perfectionism. It's very much standards up to here, even if you ain't reached them yet, but you gonna learn to get. It was very
What
much
you
that my
said?
entire life.
Yeah. Even my current healing journey is breaking that part, releasing, cutting those strings, because I grew up in a family of very high expectations, and not only from the outside. So then you start to have these expectations for yourself, academically, spiritually, how you present, how you show up, all of these things, expectations. Even me going through the journey of growing my beard out when I was working in a shop in Chicago and going through my Moses season, as I call it, that was a rebellious thing because I had never and would had never been caught dead in that level of appearance. But it was liberating and it was freeing. That was one part. But then stepping into this element of like, yo, live and be who you are. Embrace all of it.
You know what's crazy?
Because you gotta have peace of mind. Because
I got that lesson.
Expectations was eating at me.
I got that lesson as a professor. As a professor, when I did some adjunct professor work at CSU last academic year around this time, that was the first time in a long time that I felt okay with being stupid. This was my first time teaching an entire class of master's level students by myself. I was not the TA. I did not have a TA with me. It was just me. So that perfectionist started kicking in. What if I don't teach them enough? What if they miss something? What if they got a complaint? What if I give it to them too hard? What if I don't give it hard enough? It's 15,000 what ifs going through my mind, and every single one of them were legitimate and valid and had just cause for me to think them. And the reality is, this was my first time teaching, and it was okay to fuck it up a few times because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Not by virtue of not being trained, but by sheer virtue of I had never taught my own class by myself, ran my own class by myself, governed my own class by myself. I was stupid in that area, and I had to be okay with that.
That part. Everything you said, I didn't experience. Listen, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. That is so valid. It's so
and it was
valid.
one of the
and
most
being okay with it.
humbling things in the world, because I just had to recognize, like, you know what you're doing, but in certain cases you might not, because it's your first experience and it's a learning experience, and that is okay. My thing is, girl, you had a PhD, you should be able to do this. You got trained in it. I got trained in it, right? But y'all both know, because I'm assuming y'all hardworking people, you know, training and in the field is two totally different motherfucking beats.
Too different.
And I had to
different when you got to deal with people.
Baby, and when you got to deal with people who don't look like you, because I'm at a PWI, okay? So I can't always get up to to Dwight the way I could to Dwight, okay?
Right. It's true.
But I had to look in the mirror and be okay with the fact that that perfectionist that I was trying to use to teach that class was making me ineffective as a teacher. I needed to be okay with the fact that I was learning right along with them, because it was my first time teaching ever.
I should. Facts.
But that was also a choice, and it was a hard choice to humble myself to, because you can't tell me I'm stupid. I don't care what capacity it was. I was stupid in that area because I didn't know what I was doing. And the teachers before me had to normalize that for me. Like, baby, I feel stupid now, and I've been doing it for 15 years.
Because every audience is different. Every class is different. So true. So true. I went through that recently. As Prince is on the line, he asked me to speak at one of his ceremonies. And I was speaking in front of a church full of people, in front of an audience of people that are more, generally known to be a little bit more conservative than I. And, I'm more of a mystic. And so I went through and then I'm also a perfectionist, and all these things, studying all those things, as you described, went through it. But then you get into that moment again, it's going to be okay. And we're going to get through this. And you shift. And when you get into the moment and you just, allow yourself, I don't know if it's the same for you, Dr. K, but when you go into that space of at least teaching or utilizing your gift and your knowledge, something divine steps in and helps. You just got to open yourself to it.
Listen, and it does. I was teaching one time, and I was so nervous until I got to a section where some in my spirit was like, use this example, because you just had this young man on your couch, like not even 2 months ago. Use this example to drive home the point that you was making. And when I tell you, one of my students ran back to our the department person who hired me and was like, yo, they use that example in their internship now.
Wow.
Like, I was dropping knowledge about the Black Panther Party, and one of them students did use them as an example. I'm not thinking they taking that. I'm not thinking they taking nothing that I'm putting down. These babies took everything that I put down.
I can relate.
Started incorporating it into their stuff. And it was just based on stuff that I swear to God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, all of them, that spirit, it just dropped in my spirit and was like, hey, use this example.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So true. So true. And so it's the willingness. All I always recommend to people is try, because even to try, let's get to the basics of, because again, talking about the journey for those that are starting or even in the earlier stages and even going through the next stages of, take the initiative and try. The Bible says, try the spirit by the spirit. O taste and see, knock. And the door shall open, ask, and it will be given. So one, you have to open your mind and ask. So when we talk about the pool, hey, hi, hey, Mr. Man, just now, give me a minute. Hi, well, we have a visitor.
Is it a puppy?
Oh, it's not a puppy. We have a visitor. But anyhow, you have to open your mind and your heart, because when you get the pool in your belly, in your mind, whatever time, when I always use the analogy of the door, the revolving door. Right. And when we think about the door, every time you are going through different seasons of your life, because God knows what it is you want and God knows what it is you need, whatever state and condition you are in, whether it is the 10-year-old, whether it is the 14, the 15, the 21, down to the 70-year-old that is still wanting to grow, still wanting to become better. There comes a time when a door will open, a moment, whether it's from the word, whether it's from your private time, your singing, your meditation, your prayer, you're crying out, you're down in the valley experience, a door will open. It is the choice to take it in and walk through. That is faith, the willingness after you've identified there's a problem. Let me have a willingness to discover, God, what is it? Higher self, what is it? Voice, speak to me. Give me the understanding and the revelation now. For those of you that are taking your baths and doing these cleansings and sanctifying your space and sanctifying and purifying yourselves, do that too. But ask the question and make the time. You must make the time. And when the time, you cannot determine when the time is going to happen. It may be the car ride. with your homeboy, your homegirl. It may be sitting in your quiet time, walking in the park, or when you get up in the morning. It may be in your dreams. It may be however it comes, it will come. But then you have to make the next choice to be obedient to that. And remove yourself. I'll encourage you, remove yourself from the state of being the victim. Because if you remain a victim, you will never be able to grow. If you remain a victim, you will never be able to grow. Yes, something happened to you. Yes, it has caused you to reserve and preserve and restrict and limit yourself. Yes, but now what? Because you're praying for more. You're asking for more. You want a love of your life. You want children to be well. You want a successful career. You want a peaceful mind, a peaceful life. You are asking for more. So now I'm going to take you on the journey to get the more.
You also have to be willing to take what I like to call major keys or cheat codes when people give them to you. I will never understand how people swear on the Bible that it is their lot in life to learn things the hard way, that they got to take the hard road, that they got to do things their way, so that's the only way they're going to learn. But then they play victim to the fact that they keep bumping their head up against a brick fucking wall wrapped in Teflon down to the goddamn white meat and wonder why they bleeding in their eye and they blind. Well, had you listened to the 2-3 friends around you, had you listened to the 2-3 elders before you, had you listened to even your higher self that told you not to or to do, there's just certain lessons you would have to skip over. A lot of people would prefer to learn things the hard way because that's the only way it'll stick. When the reality is that's all you know because you're used to the chaos, you're used to the trauma, you're used to the drama, and you're used to the attention that you get from suffering in that. The reality is you was given a major key on how to resolve that months ago, but you want to do what the fuck you want to do and then wonder why you're not getting what the fuck you want. Playing somebody else's face. Don't play in spirit.
Yeah. Yes. Because when we, especially for us, I'm speaking to the spiritual beings, you know, those that are enlightening, growing in their enlightenment, we are held accountable to grow, especially those of us that are walking in leader or practitioner, whether you are walking in your spiritual calling as a PhD like Dr. K, or you're working in my area of office, or you're working as a teacher in the schoolroom or a doctor in the doctor room or a leader of a space, you are held accountable to work on yourself. And you cannot be too busy because we see the elders that have perished. We see our friends and those of us around that have perished that have never made time for themselves. We have seen the people that have stayed stuck in the cycle. You can have all the spirit and all this, that, and that, but if you don't apply it, and if you are staying stuck in the same space, because as long as there's breath in our body and there's life moving, God has more for us. The universe has more for us. There's always room for growth. There's always room for some form of refinement. We'll never be perfect, but we can be better.
And they trying to be.
We can be more aware of our actions. We can be more aware of our energy. We can be more aware of how some things of our past are not working for us, and we can choose to let it go. When you know better, you do better. So why am I still trying to live by what mom and papa taught me or grandma taught me if it ain't working for me today? It worked for them then.
Why do I keep just doing the shit that I've been doing this entire time, complaining about it and don't want it? And I don't know nothing different, but I don't want to do nothing different because I don't know nothing different. But the thing that you keep doing, you know, is not working. Baby, you either want to fix it or you don't. You can't play victim to circumstances that you perpetuate. These are facts. You cannot play victim to circumstances that you perpetuate, and not getting the help that you need when you know you need it is playing victim to circumstances that you perpetuate. Period.
And I hear the Spirit saying very clearly, I keep hearing it very clearly right now in this moment. If you are existing in spaces or amongst people that are not serving you, and you are constantly giving of yourself, but not being received well and treated well and valued well and respected well and loved on well, and spaces created for you to be heard, seen, and valued accordingly, then you need to remove yourself from those spaces, because all it would do is trigger and add on to your trauma and not create room for you to grow. I've experienced it. All of us have experienced it. It could be your work environment. It could be a place of worship. It can be your living environment. It could be the friends and the family you constantly trying to be around and give to and be a part of that are not loving and giving to you. All of that. all of that, all of that, all of the above. If it is not, you can love a person all day long. But I do believe in reciprocity. And reciprocity comes in different ways. But if you know clearly that either I am not well or I need, and even especially if I verbalize or express or conveyed or have called out in various of ways, and you still choose to leave me where I am, when I know I can find better. God always has better for us. We got to make the choice. We can either choose to be degraded and undervalued, or we can go in spaces where we can flourish and bloom and manifest the best parts of ourselves. And these comes in different seasons of our life, because every space serves a time, a purpose, and a season. You may not get everything in one space. Every set of friends are not meant to serve the same purpose. Every space that you are amongst are not meant to serve the same purpose. But at the core of it all, respect and value and reciprocity. If I'm giving of myself, I must gain something from this space as well.
And that includes
going to edify my life.
That includes your relationship with self. Because you could be giving it to yourself, but you could be giving some bullshit to yourself. You could be half-assing yourself. You could be playing with yourself. You could be lying to yourself.
What are you going to say, Rain?
I wanted to talk a little bit more about shifting out of victimhood, because I feel like that was a very important point that was brought across by Dr. K, that sometimes we get caught up in the cycle of being the victim. So how does one shift the mindset? And I know you're going to probably say it's a choice, but what are some of the practical steps that you would give, to tell a person, like, okay, this is the pattern that you have noticed, and now this is what you need to do to come out of this pattern?
You just did exactly, you just answered your own question right there. Sometimes you have to look at a thing and you have to do a couple of things. Number one, you have to acknowledge how it does make you feel, intellectualize it or not. All right, boom. This makes me feel sad. This makes me feel unworthy. This makes me feel unseen. And I don't like how these things make me feel. All right, boom. So once you acknowledge that, you at this point have to shift to, what do I do? If I don't like this, how do I make it different? If this doesn't make me feel good, what do I do to make me feel differently? And these aren't things that you're asking from a feeling perspective. These are literal practical questions you are asking yourself. It's kind of like when you cooking, right? When you cook, y'all are more West Indian than me, in the fact that y'all knew way before I did that I'm West Indian, that y'all was West Indian. Baby, when you cook, you know what spices do go in there and what spices don't go in there. And when you taste it, you ask yourself a few questions when you do. Does it taste how I want it to taste? And if it doesn't, what do I need to add or take away? Healing is like cooking in that way.
Yes.
I don't like how this feels. I don't like how it makes me think. I don't like how it makes me fill in the blank. Okay, what do I need to add to this or take away from it to make me feel something else? Because I don't like how this makes me feel. I don't like how it makes me act, react, do, be, present myself to the world. Sometimes it's just simple as sitting down and asking yourself a few questions. How is this benefiting me? If it's not, what do I do to change it? Some people are so stuck in the part of, well, this is all I know. Baby, all I know is racism. Does that mean I need to deal with it? All I know is sexism. Does that mean I'm supposed to be okay with it because I know how it feels? All I know is microaggressions because I work at a PWI. Does that mean I'm supposed to stay at my job and deal with it because that's all I know? Or am I supposed to get off my ass and do something differently because where my ass is sitting right now hurts? And it's now bleeding.
Absolutely.
And it's now scraping skin off. And now I can't sit on my ass.
One thing, and make it more simpler. When you are in that space and you feel uncomfortable, and you again going back to we know what that space of uncomfortableness is. There's a healthy uncomfortable when it comes to conviction. This uncomfortable can make me better because it can work on myself. For this uncomfortable is okay. This ain't some. Yeah. This is some bad juju in this motherfucker. You understand? And when you pick that up, pick up your bag, and walk out now. I've never had an issue with that since I was young. That's been one of my problems. I think I don't know if maybe I was born with it because I'm a king, and I don't know. I don't want to just say that. I want to say the matter of respect. Everyone knows what it means to be respected. Everyone knows what it means to give respect. It does not matter if you grew up in the most abusive home. You knew what it felt like to get disrespected, and you know what it felt like when somebody treated you better than that. So it boils down to we all know what respect feels like. And so when it boils down to you not being respected in any shape, form, or capacity, remove yourself. And the removal sometimes is permanent, and sometimes it could be you need to remove yourself for a time because sometimes in your distance, sometimes people are going to learn and they will do better. And when they come back, you walk in with your head up. And when you return, you don't go back kissing anybody's ass. You don't go back lowering yourself.
And while we're on that topic, let's talk about how people don't like to leave because being alone. I have so many students who sit on my couch and they got so many relationship issues. They would call this raggedy motherfucker, you raggedy, you stupid motherfucker. They gaslight me. They talk to me bad. They cheated and they don't give me my space. I told them to do something. They did something else. They do what the fuck they want to do around me. And the moment that I ask them what's the worst thing that can happen if you leave them, they asses break down and sleep. When I ask them what's the benefit of staying with this person, well, they love me. Do they? Then why the fuck are you on my couch crying about them? Well, they've been loyal to me, have they? Then why the fuck are you on my couch crying about them? Well, I've never met anybody like you. You live in a town of 75,000 people. You live on a campus with 25,000 people. The dick elder pussy ain't never been that good. You telling me you crying over one person amongst 100,000? A lot of people just don't like the concept of being alone because when you're alone, you got to deal with your shit.
That's
when the reality is sometimes with the person that you with is kicking up your shit too. So being with them ain't no better than being alone. You might as well be alone if you're going to process the shit.
Facts.
Healthily or unhealthily, if you're going to get triggered by the person who's with you, who you know deep down inside of your shundo that they ain't no good for you no way, baby, you might as well be alone anyway.
And have a peace of fucking mind, because you can do bad all by yourself.
By your damn self. So now you dragging somebody else along with me because you and your ego don't want to be alone and deal with your shit. Yeah, meanwhile, your ego is tearing you up and eating you alive. You cannot play victim to circumstances that you perpetuate. Ever.
Oh yeah. Gotta value and love yourself more.
And even if you're in a space where you feel like you don't or you can't, There are ways where you can do it, or there are ways that you can learn. The question is, do you want to, or do you choose to? Because if where you are mentally and emotionally, where you are regarding your self worth right now isn't working, why aren't you trying to do something else? And I get some people, they don't know how. Yay, congratulations. I didn't know how to be a counselor before I learned.
Yeah. You got to start somewhere. From the biggest to the smallest, make time to go for a massage. Shit, go get a Reiki session. Go get your nails done. Go make time to get your hair done and make a commitment, to beautify and love on yourself. And don't take nobody with you, and don't answer your phone. You understand? Have that time. Start somewhere. Start somewhere. Go to the gun. For me, I like to go to the gun range, but find
I like
something.
to go to the dance floor.
There you go. That's another thing. Yes, when I know I've worked hard after working so hard and helping everybody, going to hear some good Afro beats and dancehall and bashment, baby, and a little soca, I'm good, and I feel damn good about it. You understand? And you got to. If I always say to people, everybody's singing look different. Somebody can sit and numb your hood and get you and chant mantras all day and get what they need. Some other people got to get it other ways. Because if you're doing it with the right heart and right mind, the spirit will meet you wherever you are. Trust
Baby,
me,
I
we
drink
have
a
been in
little
the house.
rum. I drink a little rum and sing R&B.
That part. Even been in the house singing, called a little Holy Ghost in the house music thing went in.
Baby.
What you said? So it's that it be a situation. You got to make the time. Start somewhere. Again, going back to the willingness. Start somewhere. Open up your heart and start somewhere. It's not one size fit all. But again, going back to the core of it, self-awareness. Know thyself. Self-awareness is important. Self-awareness is very important. You need to know yourself. And how do you say, okay, somebody said, well, how do I start to discover to know myself? Okay, what have you always wanted to do? What do you know? Again, at some point in life, you again already, like Dr. K said, you know what you like and what you don't like on a surface level. Explore that a little bit more. What are some things you're curious about? Read, study, research, explore, engage in. You don't know what you don't know.
Or remember.
That part.
Because a lot of people like to repress their memories because I don't remember how I don't like how it made me feel. Well, you probably need to remember so you'll know not to replicate that in the future.
Mm-hmm. Remember.
Or at bare minimum, be curious. Damn, I wonder why my temper's so short. Damn, I wonder why, sex with men I can't do, but sex with women I can.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I wonder why being in a woman's presence triggers me so. Mm-hmm. Damn, I wonder why I don't do well with authority. The least you can do on your healing process, if you aren't aware of what your stuff is be curious about why your stuff is what it is. You ain't even got to be aware. You could be aware enough to just be like, man, why is that?
I'm sorry, you guys. I want to let you guys know in the comments, we are not ignoring you guys. And some people are commenting some really great things. I want to thank you guys for commenting. Please share the live and please come on in, share the live, comment, share your thoughts, ask your questions. I didn't put a time on it because we're flowing with the energy and listen, when libations and good herbs and conversations, we go higher and higher. And I want you guys to benefit. And we actually have some new people engaging tonight. And I want to acknowledge you guys. Thank you, Prince. Thank you, Terrence. I went online. Thank you, Kiki. Thank you, everybody. Kimbe, Sue, Looney, all of you guys for coming, and Fallon. Good night, all you beautiful people. I thank you guys for coming in. But Prince, we address everything you said, so I'm not going to share. But something that Terrence said, and being that he's also new, I want to comment. I want to highlight what he said here, because it kind of encompasses everything that all of you guys have said. He says most people are afraid of the mirror. Becoming self-aware means even looking and accepting the ugly parts of yourself. And it is true. You have to embrace the good, bad, and the ugly. I always say that. Somebody that's going to love me, friend, you understand, leader, a companion, someone is going to, the genuine loves you is going to love you, your good, bad, and the ugly. They may not be able to understand all of it, but they will allow you room and space to be authentically yourself. Period. Any thoughts on that? Do you have, Dr. K?
No, I actually have to jump off the line because I got to go to work in
Okay.
the morning and I'm packed.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes. Okay.
Rain, is that your preferred name, dear?
Yeah.
Rain. Mm-hmm.
Rain, thank you for allowing me to, be in you all space and do what I do and give you some knowledge a little bit. I thank you for being open to my responses, whether you agree with them or not. I'm just happy to be in the room. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
want to thank you so much for the conversation. As I said, I'm a person that processes things, especially things that feel like a lot to me. So if you
Mm,
notice I've been a little bit quiet tonight is because I'm genuinely taking in everything that you're saying and seeing where and how I can apply it to my own life. Because like as I said in the beginning of the podcast, for me tonight's episode was very personal because of where I'm at within my
mm,
own life and trying to understand how to do this healing journey, how to actually make long lasting changes that won't be temporary. So if I was a little bit quiet, it was really because I was taking in everything that was being said because a lot of times I have these conversations within myself, but I'm a person, I don't know if you know this, I intellectualize a lot of things before I actually feel it, and I have like delayed emotional responses to things. So I was really thinking and processing about what I need to do if I want to say this is where I want to be within my own life. So this was
mm.
a very cathartic episode for me. So I'm very grateful for your presence on tonight.
Ashe. Thank you, my
Thank you.
darling.
I'm humbled by that. And anytime y'all need me back, just let me know. I'll do my best not to have y'all out here too late. But whenever y'all want me back on here, just give me a holler. I'll be around.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And
Thank
I
you,
actually
thank you.
realized, Dr. K, our audience seems to be more rampant later in the evening. So we used to do
Uh,
8, but then we started shifting to 9. But I think the 9:30, 10 o'clock hour is pretty decent. So it definitely actually seems to work. But I'm so grateful for your presence. And you shared a wealth of knowledge and realness with the people that I believe everyone will be able to gain from. And I look forward to having you on again. You know how we do. And I'm just grateful that you were able to share with us your expertise and your experience and your transparency because in all of it, that's why this is called Wild Out Wednesday, because we be real and transparent and we want to provoke people's thoughts and feelings to help with the evolution process of the betterment of self. And so I'm grateful for you and I love you and you rest well. You have a beautiful evening. And until next time, you'll be on soon. I look forward to it.
We look forward
Thank
to
you,
having you on
y'all.
another time. Thank you for
Thank you,
Yes.
having me
y'all.
and your
Y'all
presence.
have a good night. Be safe. Finish wilding out. Smoke all of the things. Drink all of the things. Have all of the fun for
Yes.
me.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. Yes. Good night, darling. Love you.
Good
Good
night,
night.
y'all. Love you too.
Okay. It was beautiful. I'm so grateful. And so, with Terrence, what you were saying to go a little bit further, not to bypass what you said, um, it is truth. It is very important to look at the ugliest parts of yourself and understand why they're so ugly. Why don't you like them? Why do these ugly parts tend to seep out and cause disruption in your life or in the dynamics of what it is you're trying to do? Because it will do that. You know, some parts of the ugly is there and it's going to be there and you have to embrace it because we have these darker parts of us and they need to exist and they do exist, but there's higher vibrations even to the darker parts and you have to walk in that, um, and love yourself and be gentle on yourself, and the ugly parts of you that need to grow and need to be dismissed and released, you have to do that work to release it and dismiss it. You understand and understand why it doesn't work for you. and shift and grow into the light. But you got to love yourself, especially if you find yourself trying to work in a marriage, a friendship, a relationship, because it's there and it can affect or cause shifts or rupture. And you have to be wise enough to know how to be real, honest, transparent, and bring that back in alignment. Do that work to bring that back in alignment. It's a part of the journey. It's a part of the journey. How can someone really show up for you and really love on you and support you if you can't show them those parts too? It's real. It's real. It's very real. I pray that you all benefited tonight because tonight was powerful. And I'm grateful for the engagement, and I pray that everyone that has been with us tonight and have viewed, and those that are going to come and view, that you all receive, and go back and listen, go back and pause, go back and analyze and take it in, and send still in, comment your questions, because the live is there so we can respond to questions. Dr. K can see the questions, and so you can post those questions and engage too. And so we can continue to get to the point of where we need to be to continue to do what we need to do and live the life that we want to live for ourselves. You understand that it's possible, but you got to believe and know that it's possible. It can be done, but you got to do the work. It's not just you're not just gonna go to sleep or take a drug or, ignore the situation or run from the situation and think that it's gonna get better. It's gonna follow you, because what? It is a part of you. And you can change that. That's the alchemy of it. And I love you all. Love on yourself. Be gentle on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle and kind to everyone else around you, because guess what? Everyone is having a tough time. It is not easy out here. Be gentle on your parents and your grandparents and your siblings too. Even the ones that have wronged you. Love your enemies too, because guess what? They got some shit going on as well. You understand? And when you know better, you do better. When you sow proper seeds, you will get a good harvest. But you also can uproot some seeds too that ain't working for you. But you got to do the work. And so I love you all. And I'm grateful for your attention. I'm grateful for your presence. I'm grateful for your positive energy. I'm grateful for you taking time out of your evening. It's late in the evening here, and I thank you for being present with us. I really do. I don't take it for granted, and I pray that you'll feed from it. Rain, thank you for being able to ask the questions that a lot of people have. Thank you for being real with your experience. Thank you for opening up with the viewers. And because there's people here that can relate to your experience. There's people here that are in your experience. There are people that are there with you. You understand? There's things that you have gone through that I've gone through, so I can relate with you. And it takes a space to be vulnerable. Even that is being healing in itself, being vulnerable and being receptive. And so I'm so grateful for you, because you're a voice. Even though you don't see it now, you may even see it too. I don't know. But you are a voice. People look up to you from this platform, and people see you as a voice. You are a voice for people that are not able to speak. So I pray that even in that, it continues to grow within you in your calling, because that is a part of your walk. And I just love you, and you know how we do, and so I pray that you were pleased with tonight.
I wanted to comment on what Terrence said before I go into
Yes,
everything else.
yes, yes, yes.
Um, you are so correct. You see this point, and as she was speaking, as I said, I was very quiet tonight, which is not typically me, but I'm working through my own thing. And you see that point of acceptance. I feel like tonight was me accepting certain things within myself. And I feel like when we are willing to look within the mirror and say, hey, this may be hard, this might be my shortcoming, but we're determined. And I feel that so many of us are determined to be like, okay, if I'm going to do this healing thing, I'm going to really do it, and do it with everything that I have. So we have to get over the fear, get over I know for me, I can't speak for anybody else. is this notion of perfectionism, and take that time to look into the mirror and say, hey, it's okay if I'm not where I want to be. It's okay if I need to ask for help. It's okay that I may not have it all figured out at this point in time and moment. And that's the great and beautiful thing about this community and this platform, because we're just all people, you know, trying to figure it out. And we may be at different stages of figuring it out, but we're all still on this journey together for healing. And while there isn't this aloof end goal, it's just to find that joy, to find that happiness, to find that routine that we can maintain to continue having sustainable happiness, growth, prosperity, abundance, all the positive things that we want within our life. I feel like we tend to look at it just from the spiritual, and that's why I'm so happy that, we're having this conversation about it being a journey. And along the journey, it's only going to get better, because we're, as a community, just by having this conversation, it's like we're all making this agreement that, hey, we know that there's this need. And whatever stage we are at this journey, we're continuing to work at it. We're continuing to chip away at it. We're continuing to build and grow at it. So we are, in a sense, even if we are afraid, looking within that mirror. We're having these conversations, because sometimes you can have the conversation with yourself, but it might be beneficial to have it with someone else. So I'm so grateful for this platform and for the opportunity. And as I said, this is not something that's easy for me. If you know me as a person, I'm kind of a little shy, you know. So just doing this and being this vulnerable on this platform, as you said, Rod, is healing for me, because it's pushing me out of my comfort zone. It's forcing me to acknowledge on a larger scale. Because sometimes when you just acknowledge things to yourself, there's nobody holding you accountable but you. But this conversation was an accountability conversation for myself. And I just want to thank you guys tonight, and I can't wait to update you guys about how this conversation has impacted me in a positive way. And I know months down the line, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to be like, remember we did this episode and it was on the healing journey in the process. And I can gladly say this is where I'm at now. And I look forward to that. And I look forward to us continuing this conversation throughout the month of October, as we say, Depression Awareness Month, Mental Wellness Month. And I speak mental health, positive health, positivity when it comes to mental wellness into all our lives. Because even the most well-adjusted of us, we're just one trigger away. We're just one trigger away.
That's it.
So, let's continue checking in on, as you said this week on your post. Let's keep checking in on each other. Let's keep holding each other accountable. Let's keep being gracious with ourselves and those that God has blessed us to refill and re-pour into our cup. I'm so grateful. Like, I found myself, real random rant, but I really found myself this week being grateful for the circle of people that I have within my life, because many of us don't have people that we can actually go talk to that can give us solid advice, that can be a listening board, that can deduce the conversation and be like, well, you know what, Shanique, this is where you should have been. You should have known to do this. Or, hold us with that reflective mirror sometimes, that we may not have the emotional strength to pick up for ourselves. So I pray that we all find people that are really pillars within our lives, that know when we may be struggling and we may need a little gentle care, or maybe we may be struggling and we may need a kick in the ass. Because sometimes you got to figure out which way you need to help your friends or help the people around you. And I'm just so grateful for this conversation, and I can't wait for us to continue it, because it
was live, darling. It was so real. It was powerful. It was powerful, and I thank God. Yes. Oh yes. I thank you all Rain has put the icing on the cake. There's nothing else that needs to be said. With that being said, God, I ask that you continue to give us strength as we walk this journey, as we climb Jacob's ladder, as we evolve into our highest self, as we're just trying to be the light and walk in the light and represent the light. God, be with us. Ancestors, be with us. Help our God. I ask that you strengthen our consciousness. Grant us awareness and discernment to be conscious of our deeds and our ways, our words, our thoughts, our actions, our requests. You understand? Open us to be willing to go to the next step. God, I thank you for the hearts and the minds that were receptive tonight, to the eyes and the ears that are going to receive from the words shared tonight, from the energy shared tonight. I pray for breakthrough. I pray for healing. I pray for evolution, divine spirit. And I thank you because I claim that it's going to be done in masses because we need it. I thank you for us coming together. Ashebeni Kori. You guys rest well. I love you all. I thank you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful night.
Beautiful night, people.
Yes.
I love sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the halo. Universal flow, I belong here. Keep that focus on that starlight. God of my universe, part of my mission, righteous the Almighty. Raw splitting the sea into that clear sight. Go far into vision, lifting up that soul right. I love. I love, I love, I love. Elevate my love, generate my touch. Everything I see coming to me, I'm knowing. Fruits that I bear from the sowing. I just put in work to the morning, to the 3 birthday.